We usually categorize highly sensitive people as fragile, perpetual victims who spend their lives apologizing for their own existence. But Carl Jung documented a much more complex reality in his clinical notes. He saw these individuals as emotional archaeologists, the people who serve as the silent shock absorbers for the dysfunction of their entire family systems. Because their perception makes others feel exposed, society labels them as too sensitive. This forces the empath to bury their observations, silencing their intuition to maintain the collective social lies everyone else has agreed to believe. The danger isn't the depth of their feeling, but the systematic denial of their reality. Being told their accurate data collection is wrong turns their perception into a psychological time bomb, gathering pressure for decades. The transformation begins with a betrayal so profound it shatters the empath's need to believe the best in people. Years of silently mapped inconsistencies and recorded patterns of abuse suddenly flood their conscious mind, overwhelming their defenses. Abusers typically prepare for a storm of emotional chaos, crying, screaming, or a total breakdown. Instead, they are met with a silence so profound it terrifies everyone involved. The empath stops explaining themselves and starts speaking truth. They begin exposing every hidden manipulation and lie they've silently cataloged for years, presenting their observations with the clinical precision of a detective presenting evidence. This is the moment the power dynamic permanently shifts. Having mapped every move the abuser made while remaining silent, the empath effectively ends the game of checkers their opponent thought they were playing. Jung attributed this to differentiated intuitive function. It's a specialized way the brain processes unconscious emotional states and hidden agendas at a speed most people can't match. The feeling intuitive type experiences this as literal emotional contagion. They absorb others' unlived emotions so deeply that they struggle to tell where their own feelings end and someone else's begin. Thinking intuitives operate through unconscious pattern recognition. They can identify the small behavioral markers that forecast relationship failures or career disasters months before the first visible warning signs. Sensation intuitives act as biological early warning systems. They feel the psychological stress of a group as literal physical symptoms, detecting tension or exhaustion in others before those individuals even acknowledge it themselves. The pure intuitive receives the highest volume of unconscious data, but lacks the internal structure to filter it. They live in a state of perpetual sensory overwhelm, flooded by information they can't yet organize. While this allows for an instant reading of any room, carrying this much raw, unfiltered data is a threat to social survival. This absorption often leads to participation mystique, where the empath's psychological boundaries dissolve. They become so flooded with external material that they lose contact with their own authentic personality and desires. Groups often react to this clarity with shadow projection. They unconsciously attack the perceptive individual, scapegoating them as negative or judgmental, because the empath is reflecting truths the group refuses to face. The snap forces what Jung called shadow integration. It is the exact moment the empath accepts their suppressed intelligence and stops apologizing for what they see. This integration creates a psychologically complete individual. They no longer function as a mirror for others' dysfunction, but as a sovereign personality with an unshakable defense mechanism. The result is the integrated empath, someone who maintains their deep capacity for care while remaining strategically protective of their own energy. Jung developed a three-phase approach to reach this state. Phase 1, conscious discrimination, requires daily solitude. This allows the noise of absorbed external emotions to settle so you can identify your own authentic psychological voice. Phase 2 is shadow integration. You must look inward and acknowledge that you contain the same human capacity for selfishness or deception that you observe in others. This realization neutralizes your judgment and allows you to see others with clinical clarity rather than emotional distress. The final phase is conscious participation. You learn to engage with the world's psychological contents as a supportive observer without letting that material breach your personal boundaries or dissolve your identity. Jung noted that without this process, superior perception destroys the carrier. He saw this in Friedrich Nietzsche, whose ability to see through social and philosophical facades was devastatingly clear, but ultimately led to total psychological collapse. A fully integrated empath develops what Jung called a predator's instinct. They become living lie detectors. Manipulators can sense that their usual tactics are visible and instinctively avoid them. These individuals often experience rapid professional and relational success. By trusting their pattern recognition early, they can identify the behavioral markers of toxicity before a person has the chance to become a central part of their lives. Despite possessing the psychological insight to destroy those who previously hurt them, the integrated empath simply removes toxic people and moves on. Their energy is too valuable to spend on revenge. Jung believed these individuals serve a vital role in humanity's development. By making the unconscious conscious, an awakened, boundaried empath prepares the collective for the developmental steps that society isn't yet ready to face alone.